Hello all, this is Ripper of Ripper Gaming, and today I'm going to show you how to tear down the Lenovo Legion Go. We're going to be putting in a new hard drive, and that is the purpose of this teardown. But I figured it'd be something people would want to know, and I'll also be following up with reloading Windows on the device with my new hard drive. So it might be a separate video, or it might be in this video, but the title should tell you. So first thing we're going to do is go over the tools we need. Now I've got a lot of different tools I thought I might use here to try and get this thing open, and none of them really work. This thing is held together very tightly. The sample, or it's not a sample, but the engineering spec is there's not really a lot of tolerance there. So I've got this that came in my kit. I've got a little screwdriver kit that's got different pieces. This one would probably work as well. You just need to have a very thin piece of plastic. A guitar pick might work if you have one of those, but you're going to need something like this. Even this, which looks pretty thin to me, is not really easy to get into the device. So something like this guitar pick style is probably going to be best for you. The other thing you're going to need is, this is a small screwdriver. This one is called a, let's see if we can get that up to the screen here. Go. So JMCRV plus 2.0. So we'll start with getting these off of here. So if you look on the back of your device here, you're going to see this little slot here, little button type thing. And what you're going to do is you're going to push on that and then pull down. So when we flip it over, if we push on the back of it, push it in and then slide it down, you'll see a little click there, and it slides out. You can see in here that it just slides back in and pops up at the top. So we can move that to the side. And we're going to do the same for this one and move that to the side. So this came in my box, so you might want to hold on to this if you still have it, just so I can put my screen down without risking damaging it. Otherwise I'd use something to keep it safe, some type of cloth or something. You could use something like a microfiber cloth if you have one handy, just to try and make sure your screen doesn't get scratched up. So there we go. Now it has 6 screws, pretty easy to start with when we're talking about just initial disassembly. This is the easy part. Getting it apart after this is a little bit harder. So I'm going to pull these out real quick. And I'll go ahead and tell you a little bit about my hard drive. By the way, when you pull these out of this, or really any type of electronic device, I like to lay the screws out in the same order in which I put them in. So you'll see me putting them over here to the side. I'll do that on both sides just so I can put them in. Now these all seem to be the same size, and you can mix them up and it probably wouldn't be a problem. But just as a general rule of thumb, I like to do that when I'm tearing anything down. So we'll get these out, and then the hard drive I'm using is there's 3 different sizes for NVMe hard drives. There's a 2230, which is what you use in the Steam Deck and what you use in ROG Ally. And you can use one of those in here, but that's not the standard size. So if you do use one, you have to get an adapter. It's called a 2230 to a 2242 adapter, because the size hard drive in here is 2242. And so that really just stands for millimeters. So a full-size NVMe is a 2280. The smaller ones for Steam Deck and Ally are 2230s, and for the Legion Go it's a 2242. So that's just something you'll want to know. I am using a 2242, but there's only one available that is faster speed Gen 4 that I could find. But I've got games that play on my main PC on a Gen 3 and they play just fine. But if you have to have the fastest, you either buy the one that's a Gen 4 or you get a 2230 and you use an adapter to bring it to a 2242. I just wanted something that fit in my case, so that's why I went with the Gen 3, even though it's a little bit slower. But that's really just personal preference. I don't think it's slow enough you would notice much of a difference. So first inclination is grab this kickstand and pull, pull, pull. It doesn't work. I tried it already. So the easiest way to really get this thing apart is to get this thin, something thin and sturdy, and you got to just kind of push and wedge it in here. Like, I've already started this, it's a little bit easier now, but when you try and get it in here on the edges, like if you see here, there's really, I mean, that's a really tight fit, so there's not really a lot of room. So I would just start at the top and kind of work it in until you can get under. And that's the way to get it out. Now this thing will pop out once you work it in enough, and then there's going to be some areas where you can only get it in so much. So I just kind of work it around the edges. And then pop it up as you can. Once you can pop it up all the way around, you can pull this off, and it's not going to be too hard at that point. Yeah, still even struggling, even though I've gotten into it some. Just this device is not easy to get into. I'm going to pull this up a little bit just to make it easier. We are down into this bottom part now. So if I can get under, see, that's the big thing. Just get it started, and then you can kind of slide in and wedge it up all the way around. So it feels like it's coming loose here. I might be able to start pulling. You want to make sure you do it slowly. If you just pull on it, you could break something. So just slowly work it up. So we're good now. All right, so you can see we've got the back off, and take a look here. You see there's a little clips around here, these little plastic clips, and that's what holds it on. So that's really what you're doing, is you're popping those off, or popping them loose so that you can get this off. But like I said, it's a very good fit, and seems to be fairly well designed. So we've got the case off, or the back of the part of the case off. I'm going to move that over here, and now we can look at the actual device. So in here, at first it might not be easy to figure out, but I believe the hard drive is right here. This is your 2242. So you've got, you don't want to destroy all this surround here. You know, you want to be able to pull it up, but then you want to be able to put it back down. And it looks like this is kind of connected all the way around here. So typically you want to disconnect the battery too. So I might need to look and find a lead for that, because you can do this stuff with the battery connected. It's just safer to do it with it disconnected. But yeah, so we're gonna have to get the foil off of here in order to get to the hard drive and replace it. Now you do have your screw here. This is your typical screw for NVMe. Now that probably want to use a different bit. That doesn't seem to fit very well, so you don't want to risk stripping any bit like this. It'll be hard to replace it or get it out if you do. I usually just take my kit and find one that seems to fit in there well. A little loose. Yeah, all these seem a little bit loose. Yeah, that one just turns. That'll strip it for sure. Yeah, any of them that turn like that are going to be a problem for you. You don't want to use those. I think this might be our best bet. It doesn't go in as deep as I'd like, but it doesn't wiggle once we get it in there either. So if you have a kit like this, just for reference, this is JM CRV. See if I can get that to focus there. Having a little trouble. Alright, well, it's JM-CRV plus 3.0. So now that is loose. We can see that that will come up, you know, if you're not used to installing one of these hard drives, they kind of go in at an angle and then sit down flat, and that's where you screw them in. So we can see here that this is coming up, but there is the black tape around it here. Maybe we can kind of work this off slowly. Yeah, you want to take your time with it. It's plenty sticky, and it'll probably stay that way, so you can put it back on. You just want to try and take your time not to rip it. So you might need to use a knife here if you can't get under the tape everywhere, but I'm pretty close here. I'm just trying not to rip it on this one edge. I think I will go for a knife and try to just work it slowly. There we go. Yeah, so I was able to just kind of wedge that in there and pull that back. So now you can see this is going up and down. So we're going to pull this up and pull it out at the angle. So this is really just a wrap, a thermal wrap around the current hard drive. So you could apply something like this. You might be able to pull this off of this one and put it on the new hard drive. But you can see that it's wrapped around the whole thing here. So smart thing to have, just to help with the cooling there. But we can probably put it in without one. Let me grab my other one to show you. But this is an inland 2 terabyte. Like I told you, it's a Gen 3x4. It's a 2242, but this fits exactly. So I'm going to open this one up. I'm going to do it off camera here so I can be safe and not cut myself. I've kind of worked that out there. And here we go. So this is a 2-sided. Sometimes that's a problem. I don't think it's going to be here. I think we could just pop it in and go. Well, let me get it in all the way first. Yeah, so we could probably do that, and I think it'll work fine. For right now, I'm going to try it without the shield, but I will tell you that it might be worth taking the time to get the shield off the old hard drive, and then just trying to get on there. But it looks like it's a shield that's kind of taped on. If I could pull it straight out, maybe, but I think it's taped on the back here, so it looks pretty flat there. And this looks like a single-sided, so this one will be a little bit thicker most likely. Let me do a size comparison real quick. So if I put them side by side here, I mean, they're very similar. This one does seem to be a little bit different, but I tell you what, I will get my caliper out and measure just so you know the difference. So here we go. We're going to turn this on, zero it out, and we're going to check the thickness of this one. So we're sitting at 2.73. So if we check the thickness of this one, we're at 3.26. So about 0.5 millimeters thicker. I don't think it's going to be a problem, but once we get the case on, we'll see. For now, I'll leave this be in case I have to switch back. So let's go ahead and get this one back in. We're going to get the screws in for it. Pull this back over here. And just kind of put that back over it here. And so I think we're good to go there. We'll go ahead and put the back plate back on. I'm not going to screw it in right now, just because, you know what, I might actually just leave it like that until I can test and make sure we get power on the device. I may have to plug this in. That does happen sometimes. So let me get this power adapter hooked up and we'll plug it in and turn it on. Adapter. Give ourselves some power. And okay, good. So we see that we got power. So we didn't kill it. That's always a good sign. But I'm going to hold it and try and turn it on. Now it's not going to boot up as normal. You know, we'll probably have to load this thing. Default boot device missing or boot failed. Insert recovery media and hit any key. Okay, so it looks like it is installed. You know, we'd have to load it in order to get anything going. So that is going to be the next thing I'm going to do. I'm going to cover how to basically set up a boot device with USB and load it. So that's the next thing we'll work on. So we'll be back in a little bit. Alright, so we're on to the next section, which is where we're going to download the recovery media from Lenovo, and we're going to use that to load the new hard drive on the device. Now, if you want to just load Windows yourself and install it, then that would work fine as well. I did that on my rogally. I have a video on that if you want to check it out. But for now, we're just going to use this. It's available. I can load it on a USB and let it load its whole thing, and hopefully everything works well. So let's go ahead and get started. The process is to go to this web site here, which I'll put a link in the description so you can easily get to this. But you're going to go to order now for recovery media on the right here, and you know, you just click continue on that one. It opens up another page. Now it's a little weird how you have to do this, but you're going to put your serial number in. Obviously I'm going to kind of blur this stuff out in production, but we submit that. And then it's going to tell you that you have to be logged into your account. Now I'll go down here and choose English, and then I'll choose digital download. USB media can be done, but they'll charge you for that. So assume you have your own USB and just hit digital download, and I accept. So we're going to hit next there, and of course now it's going to ask me to sign in. So I'm going to sign in, obviously blur this stuff out for security purposes. And then once we get in here, if you don't have an account, go ahead and make one. You'll be able to warranty your device to it, that kind of stuff as well. So now we can see that this shows my order details. It says, you know, everything here. Size 32 gigs, price is 0. So you can put your information in here. I'll just do this real quick, you know, blur it out for the video, but you know, pretty much same thing. Just put your info in, make sure you've got a valid email address, that kind of thing, and then submit. So now it's showing me I'm going to get an email confirmation. The order is there, so it's telling me everything is good to go. So since that's the case, we're good to close out of this, and then we can go over to the Lenovo app. So yeah, hit your digital download button, and that's going to download the USB recovery creator. So now we open the USB recovery creator. Alright, so I'm going to put our info in here. Obviously I'll blur it out, but just type in your username and password. Hit sign in. And this will kind of go from left to right here. So next thing that's going to show, you know, order to download. I'll blur this out, of course, but this will show the order you just created. If you didn't create the order on a website, you won't be able to do this. So now we're going to hit next. Okay, so now we've gotten to the download location. So we'll go ahead and just stick with C downloads put it wherever you want. Just make sure that wherever you put it, you kind of remember where it is in case you need to go back and get those files. So there's really two ways. You download it, and then you let this app go ahead and go through and recover the drive, put it onto a USB, and take care of it for you. I have heard online some people say they have troubles with that. So you could also download everything and then try and load it using Rufus. I was able to do it through here, even though it was a little bit buggy, and it worked fine. So I'm going to go ahead and hit download. Now, I'll fast forward through this after I tell you what's going on here, but I ran into several issues with this, and basically it'll sit there and download for a little bit, and then it'll throw up an error and tell me download failed for whatever reason. So when it did that, I basically went backwards and chose the same location, and each time it got a little bit further. So if that's what you run into, just keep trying, and eventually it'll download everything. So it's like it has troubles when it's writing the files, but it does keep your place. So if you get 10% in and it crashes, simply back out, do it again, and you can get to 12%. So yes, it's a little bit of a hassle, but it does seem to work. And right now, it actually seems to be going better. Oh, there we go. So this is the exact thing that I saw before where it says the recovery file is valid. So I just hit OK, it cancels, hit back, and just hit download again. And you're going to end up doing this multiple times, perhaps. I know that I had to do it probably 15 times, 20 times, something like that. So yes, it's a hassle, but you might not have this issue. There might be something I ran into. So I'll probably fast forward this part, but basically I'm just going to let it go through and keep retrying until the thing gets fully downloaded. So finally completed. Probably fast forwarded through that whole process there. So kind of working from my phone at lunch and doing some stuff. But if you notice, it threw up several errors. So I just canceled the error, move forward, that type of thing. So it did download completely. So at this point, you're going to need a USB drive. I've got one that is USB-C on one side. So you probably want USB-C unless you have some type of hub. The Legion Go has USB-C connections only. It does have two of them, but then we've got USB-A here. So, you know, something like this is nice because if your computer only has USB-A, use that. And then you can switch this for, you know, it works with either adapter. So we're going to go ahead and put this one in here into my computer. So I've already made this recovery once, so this is the second time I'm doing it for the video, but I'm going to go ahead and hit next here. And so it's asking me what drive here. So it's saying Sabrent drive, or it's weird because it's really the SanDisk. So, oh yes, I have a Sabrent also. So the SanDisk is the one that we're going to do. So we're going to go ahead and pick that. That's the one I just put in. So we'll hit next on that. So anything that's on your drive is deleted at this point if you hit yes. So if you have stuff on there, pictures, music, whatever, please don't use it until you back that up, because this will wipe the whole drive and put Windows on it and get it ready to load Windows on the Legion Go. So I'm going to hit yes here. And so now it's just going to go through a process here where it goes through, it partitions, it formats, and then it loads everything on there. So at this point, I'm just going to turn off the camera on here. I'm going to let it do its thing, fast forward through the process just so you can see how it goes. Okay, so finally done. So it's basically saying everything's good to go. Do you want to delete recovery files? I would say no, just in case something didn't work right. You still have those files, so you can try and do this recovery again. So we're going to go ahead and hit no, exit. And so at that point, we're done. And now we just need to take our drive and take it over and load. So I'll see you back over at the Legion Go. Okay, so now that we've downloaded the recovery file and put it on this jump drive, we should be able to set this thing up to basically reload the device as a new device. Now, I will show you that this is a USB key or drive, whatever you want to call it, that has USB-A, USB-C, so it works for both. Now, the nice thing about the Lenovo is that you've got USB-C here and here. so you can use it for different things. So if you have any of the glasses where you display, you could run that and power at the same time. So those are some definitely nice features about having the two different displays. So I'm just going to put this back on the back here. Just going to kind of sit it there for now because I want to make sure the hard drive tests all right and everything's fine. So I'm not going to pop it in. I'm not going to screw it back in yet. But there's a way to get in the BIOS, which I believe you just hold volume up and then hit the power button, and it takes a while and then it gets you into the BIOS. But I didn't see anything saying the spec of the hard drive, so we're going to try and do the load and make sure it can find it and everything loads correctly. So I'm just going to hold power and turn it on. Now it should boot directly to or boot this USB drive to start loading the Windows image. I'll probably fast forward through some of this. It'll probably just take a while. Now that's a little funny. Guess it's loading it sideways. Alright, found USB drive C. Product recovery is recovering the system. So hopefully that means it's using the USB C drive to recover to the hard drive. It doesn't mention the new hard drive, but it is acting as if it can. So let's see. Modified, create the recovery files, all images files found. So hopefully it's working. I'm not getting any errors yet showing anything having to do with it not seeing the hard drive. So hopefully that 2 terabyte drive I put in is going to work just fine. I do, if you wanted to see what it was, I'll put a link in my description if you want to buy this one. Obviously, I'm not going to recommend it unless it works, but if all works fine, then this is one of the few 2 terabytes that you can get, even though it's a Gen 3. But 2400 read and 2100 write speed are still both pretty good for gaming. So at this point I'm going to let this record and kind of line it up with the camera here, and we're probably just going to let it do its thing and go ahead and fast forward until this gets to the end. Okay, so we're back for a second here. It looks like it's doing the system update. It's gotten everything off the drive. That drive got really warm, but looks like it's working. So we'll give it a little bit of time, and I'll fast forward on and off during this process. Just so you know, it is Halloween night, so if you end up hearing doorbells, then that's what it is. Okay, so I think we're finally into the Windows setup, so let me see if this changes orientation or not. It does, perfect, so nothing needed to make that happen. And I think well, I don't have the back on fully, but I think everything is fine. So I might go ahead and put that on real quick, because I think no issues there. I'll snap it into place. I am having some issues on the side here with it seeming to want to fit all the way in. There we go. Okay, good. I was a little bit concerned at first that it wasn't fitting because of the drive. Remember, the thickness is a little bit thicker in this one. Okay, so we're good here. Alright, so I'm gonna do my Wi-Fi off screen, of course. Alright, so we'll see if it does anything else. It'll probably ask me to log in using my account. So I'll do that off screen here in a minute, but see if we can just get into the device with the new hard drive, and everything should be good to go. But this might take a while to download updates as usual. So we'll sit this down and kind of fast forward through this as well. Alright, so I was able to get logged in and we're starting back up now. I did put the controllers back on. They lit up, so it tells me they are connected. And I do feel some feedback when I rub on this. So, oh look, looks like the mouse is working too. So that's a good sign. I like to normally do a fresh load of Windows, but this makes it much nicer when you don't have to load everything. So first thing I'm going to do is go into Device Manager, and it looks like everything is installed, so that's a good sign. Alright, so I started by going to this Legion Space icon down here. So I'm going to go ahead and tell it to install. It did have an update for it. So that is probably the app, from what I've seen, that is kind of what controls the whole gaming device here. So we want to get that updated anyway. Try this at an angle where the lights don't hit it too bad. And sorry, you will hear some dogs barking and some doorbells and maybe kids. Trick-or-treating is going full-fledged right now, so sorry about that. Alright, I'll fast forward in between these, but you can see right now it's doing firmware updates for the controllers. So we want to get everything up to date so that this thing's ready to start gaming. Okay, so looks like the controllers are back on and everything's updated. RB to take a tour of the device. Let's see, press open the Legion Space homepage. It's showing this one up here is the Legion button. Okay, and then the R button, which is this one up here, access your game library. Okay. L plus LB button. Okay, that's a shortcut list. Okay, good to know. I don't normally go through these, but since it's a new device, it's a good idea too. And then there's a little, if you look down here, it's showing you that there's a little switch here to switch your controller mode. And if you don't remember from the beginning of the video, there's a little plastic piece in the case that allows you to sit this in it and treat it like a mouse. So you know, that could be kind of cool depending on the games you're playing, especially if you're into shooters. So let's see, detached controllers, we already covered how to do that, so that's good to know. So it's telling us we can start here. Alright. I mean, first, you know, this feels really smooth. I mean, it feels like it's done well. I like the layout. I mean, I'm just getting to take a look at it, obviously. Looks like they've got some discounts here. I'm not sure if that is something through Legion only. It looks like it because it's got the Legion icon. But, you know, lots of experience here, but the main point of this video is getting your hard drive going, getting everything loaded, and getting this working. So, let's see. That brings up that menu. That brings us back down to here. This popped up while it was installing, probably because of the controllers, but yeah, you have to install the Microsoft Game Bar when you first load Windows. I'm kind of surprised it's not automatically installed. Okay, there we go, it's downloading. Looks like our mouse is working, and the nicest thing is I've got my controllers, but I also have the mouse, so I don't have to switch back and forth between them, so that's pretty sweet. But yeah, so I'm sure there's a lot more to learn about the device. If y'all have any questions, please post them in the comments. I try to look at those and respond. I do have a job outside of doing this. This is kind of my hobby. But if you'd like to have me check anything out, test out gameplay, that kind of stuff, then I can try and do that. I will probably do some testing with things like things like Diablo and Elden Ring, some of the games I've played in my previous videos, just so I can get a good comparison against the rogally. I assume everything's going to be fairly close, but being that you can run these at 800p and upscale to 1600 could make everything look better and actually run better. Plus it does have faster RAM. So anyway, thank you for watching the video. Please give me a like, give me a subscribe, let me know what else you want to see me look at. And thanks for watching.